It's the middle of February. It's currently snowing outside, but I'm standing indoors in an atrium sweating, and I am surrounded by butterflies, finch, quail, and koi fish. As you can see behind me, there's sights and sounds of moving water, and that's because we just finished building this insane indoor butterfly koi pond. Ready? Yes. All right. What's up, guys? We are here in Westford, Massachusetts at the one and only butterfly place. This is one of the first 4 butterfly habitats, enclosures that you could go visit in the country, actually. It's been around a very long time, and we are in the process of rebuilding their water feature for them. So there's gonna be an absolutely gorgeous ecosystem pond inside. Today is our first day of bringing materials and kind of getting a lay of the land. Right now, we're bringing everything in through the front door into the butterfly enclosure. There are no butterflies currently because they had to take the entire roof off the building. So the rest of the butterflies went to another facility. There are going to be different birds, quail, butterflies, and things living in this environment once the pond's done. This is the gorgeous butterfly place. So this is the former pond. It sprung a leak, kind of a maintenance nightmare for everybody. They want something super beautiful, very natural, and something that'll be a focal point or centerpiece of the garden. We'll be ripping all of this out and putting in an 11 by 13 ecosystem pond with a beautiful waterfall and little stream section. This is gonna be something that draws a lot of attention from the guests.
So today's rock delivery day, guys, as you can see. You might be wondering where we put them. Let me show you. So inside of our butterfly sanctuary here, we have all of our rocks, 6 tons assorted by size. We wanted to get a head start on this so that our rocks didn't get covered in snow and frozen to the ground. So we have very limited access in here. There's 3 doorways we have to go through, and the smallest one is 35 inches. So we couldn't even get a ball cart in here. We had to bring all these rocks in here with wheelbarrows. Our biggest rocks are 24 inches, and they go all the way down to about 8.
The boys are draining and ripping out the existing pond right now. We're getting ready to take that all out and give ourselves a blank canvas, a clean slate, so we can paint out the new pond and get excavating. This area used to be filled with a bunch of trees. As you can see to your right, there's some stumps where some of those trees were. They cut back a lot of stuff, and they just recently had the panels on the roof completely replaced. And while those were off, all the cold air came in and killed a lot of the tropical vegetation. So they pretty much have a blank canvas everywhere where they're gonna be doing a bunch of gardening, and they're gonna do a bunch of plantings all around the water feature when that's done too. If you take a look, you can see where the waterfall was on the left, and you can see the bare liner pond that the guys are working on draining and cleaning up right now. We're about to rip this all out, get all these stones set to the side. Then we're gonna rip this liner, the old pump, all that stuff. We're gonna throw that away. We're gonna get to work building something like you're used to seeing us build. Absolutely natural looking and gorgeous, something that really fits this space and draws the guests all the way through the winding paths over to this area where they're gonna hear the running water. And I guarantee you, between the tropical aquatic plants in the water feature and all the plantings around it, this thing is gonna look absolutely stunning. It's gonna look like they built the atrium around it.
Which way do you wanna go? Do you wanna go this way or that way? Or I feel like if we get it off the ground a little bit, like leaned up, we can move it, but. 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, that's not going.
What if we lift? Can we lift from here?
Don't go crazy on the shovel. We don't want it to snap.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
As I stand here in this cool tree looking beautiful, the boys are in the hole getting dirty, ripping out that old liner. That's a PVC liner. It is really junky and dry and brittle and cracking, as you can tell. Rubber liner that we're gonna put in is way better than this stuff and is silent. Right now, I am lowering this front side of the pond. The dirt here was about 5 inches higher than the backside, so we're trying to level everything out. And as we do that, we are finding tons and tons of roots from all the tropical plants that were once here, as well as an unbelievable amount of broken glass.
We like to paint on the ground before we start excavating, so we have a good idea of where our barrier for the actual pond is going to be. They say if I eat this, I gain 10 pounds.
All right, we're a couple of hours into day 2, and we've got the pond mostly excavated. We are having a wonderful time discovering lots of basically play sand, which is making our shelves a little bit difficult to build, but not impossible. You never know what you're gonna find in the ground. That's true for every single pond we build. You never know. You could build one in someone's backyard and go a mile down the road and have completely different digging conditions. Tree roots, boulders, ledge, sand, concrete. You never know. We've got some really cool twists and turns going on. We're gonna have 3 shelves on this one. There's gonna be a lot of tropical aquatic plants, so we wanted to have different depths for that. We just want this to look as natural and as awesome as possible. If this pond was outside and we were using machine set boulders, big, huge, massive boulders, we'd probably dig this a little differently, just because the bigger the rock, the bigger the shelves you can build. You can get those rocks set differently. When it's all hand size, you don't wanna have big, huge drops, because then you gotta stack a bunch of small rocks on top of each other, and it just doesn't look natural, doesn't look right.
I'm gonna put my slack down and then we'll go over the wheelbarrow. You're good. Right there.
All right, trim that. Just leave like a foot around the edges, you know.
Sounds good.
Check it out. We've got our brand new 45 mil EPDM rubber pond liner in place. We ripped out that old pond, got rid of that brittle, leaking, breaking, cracking PVC liner, and put in a proper pond liner. As you can see, it conforms to all of our shelves. Now this is a 11 by 13 foot ecosystem pond. It's 24 inches deep. So we decided to use a 20 by 19 foot piece of liner. That way we've got plenty of extra on the sides for edging. It's not wasteful. It's definitely necessary. You don't want the liner to be too short. So we always oversize it a little bit, give us some play, some wiggle room. This stuff, once the pond is rocked in, this can last for, we don't even know how long. There's ponds that have been in the ground for over 30 years with no issues whatsoever. So we're not even sure how long this stuff will last up. It could be forever. With that said, there's no harmful chemicals in this liner. It's rated for aquatic life, fish and plants, things like that, and it's ready to go. We're gonna put down a little layer of protective padding, and then we're gonna start rocking this thing out.
We just put the liner and underliner in, get into the final parts before we start rocking. This is my boy, Jeffrey. He's a good rock. He's the best rock, and he's gonna be our first rock in this pond.
The guys got the bottom layer rocked these last couple days, and everything is looking really good. But now we kind of want to take that next step and move into our top layer of rocking, where we really want to focus on perpetuating our vision for this build, guys. Because when you're looking deep into the bottom of the pond, you're more so focusing on the fish and the lighting and everything like that. But with the rocks that are right at your feet, you have no choice. You have to focus on them. They're right in your face. So we really want to make everything look beautiful and tie everything together. So the original system that was in place with the old pond is they had this irrigation pipe that hooked up to this line here, and it ran all the way to the spigot on the other side of the atrium. It was kind of a flawed system. This would just run right into the pond directly, and there was no way of stopping it or anything like that. You would kind of have to watch it and be there, make sure it didn't overflow. We're gonna take advantage of the irrigation pipe that they had in place, and we're gonna actually run a chase through it and use our autofill line to hook up to our autofill spigot, which has a floater on it. You can just leave that on all the time, and the pond will stay at the perfect level that you want. It's kind of a way that we've taken a bad system and used it to our advantage.
Sad times, we're cutting down a tree. Oh boy, here it comes. So this beautiful tree is not a fan favorite of the staff at the butterfly place. So they asked us to cut it down because they want to replace it with something more fitting of a tropical / butterfly environment. I guess these are pretty messy and they don't really fit the theme they're going for. They were gonna cut it down themselves, but we're gonna be working in this area this week. And if it's coming out anyways, we might as well cut it down so we have more space to work in. Super cool tree, sad to see it go, but it doesn't fit the vibe, and they're gonna replace it with something cooler.
So when we started this project, guys, we put a lot of emphasis on doing everything by hand because we have no machine access. And we've done really well with that, honestly. That's because we came here early and we got everything set up properly. I think it really goes to show how important preparation is. And we've been able to do so well with this and be efficient with moving rocks and materials because we came here early to set everything up. We needed a little extra rock, so I'm out here again with a trailer full 4 tons of rock. It's the middle of January. I'm freezing my cheeks off, but it's going good. So I'm working on the top part of our waterfall here. We just got our biological waterfall filter framed in on one side. And half the battle when you're building a waterfall is diverting the water to where you want to go, that image that you have in your mind, how it's supposed to flow. So we use things like waterfall foam and just backfilling at a certain slope. You're never going to be able to get everything 100% watertight when it comes to rocks. Water's always going to want to take the path of least resistance. So our job is to give the water the path of least resistance, which looks the best. So I have our liner peeled back here, and I'm backfilling at a slope this way to make sure that our water stays where we want it to and go over our first spillway. We're gonna do a little cobble lanch here and tie this giant boulder that came with the old pond in. It looks amazing. You can't see it right now, but just wait till it's all washed off.
All right, guys, we finally have water running. It's taken a lot of work to get to this point. Clearly, there's still a lot more work that has to happen to finish this off, but this is always a super exciting part of the project for us. When you finally got some water moving, you got the waterfalls or your stream section mostly done, and you kind of get that little reward. It's a little jolt of energy 3/4 of the way through the project when you finally see everything you've been working really hard on come to life, basically. We're gonna run it for a little bit so we can do all of our edge work, and then we'll use this water with our pumps and our hoses to do a really good flush to get this nice and cleaned out, and then we'll put the hose back in, take another day and a half, 2 days, fill it all the way up, and then it'll be crystal clear water to start the ecosystem with. We'll let it run for a couple days, and then we can introduce the koi. Check it out, guys. Super pumped about this. We are so close to being done. We've got maybe 3-4 more feet of liner to disguise and edge. And then we've got a bunch of cleanup work. We got some more retaining wall stuff we want to do, but for the most part, this pond is done and running. Earlier in the video, when the waterfall was running, but all that liner and rubber and all that stuff was exposed like it is right here, what a dramatic difference it is when you've got that stuff all cut out and done properly and it disappears, how natural the stream section or even the pond itself looks. It is a huge difference. That's why we take our time with it. It's so important because you, one, don't want to create any leaks, but two, those finishing touches doing the edge work are what make or break a water feature. Makes it look like it's always been there or makes it look man-made. What's up, guys? The pond is almost done. I'm super excited. So right now we're draining it down. We're storing as much of the clear water as we can. It's been running for a few days, so all of the dust and mud and dirt has settled down onto the gravel in the pond. So we're saving as much clean water as we can, and then we're gonna flush this pond out and get it really clean. While that's going on, Sixto, Dominic, and Mason are digging in the last couple of accent boulders or retaining rocks onto the far side of the waterfall berm. Once the water is all out of the pond, there are a couple of lights that we have to set in place for the waterfalls. We're gonna do some pea stone for a planting pocket and a little bit of foam work where we can redirect some of the waterfall water and get some moss accents in place. And once we're done with that, we're gonna fill this thing back up, let it run, and come back in a week or two to put aquatic plants and koi fish in the pond. But besides that, this thing is ready for the opening day.
Today we brought all the plants in. This is the final step before we add the koi to this beautiful pond. First, we're laying out the plants to where we think we want them, just to give us a rough blueprint of how today's gonna go. After that, we're gonna clean the pond and then start putting these plants in.
We're getting down to the final last few details. Today we're doing the aquatic planting. So this is what we've got to start off. We've got a lot of different flowering plants, some ground covers. We want to get some stuff that's going to creep around and stay low lying. We're strategically placing it in spots where we know it's going to be really happy, but it's also going to look the coolest. We don't want to put anything tall on the viewing side. So if you see where I'm standing right now, I'm looking at that waterfall. If I was to plant something that gets tall, it would either distract your view or block your sight. This area right here is perfect for one of these creeping jennies. This is going to crawl all around the boulders, come around through the nooks and crannies, and the soil right here is damp from the splashing of the water, so this is going to absolutely thrive in this location. There's going to be a ton of tropical plants in here on the outside of the water feature that are probably going to get pretty tall, be very lush, but we do want to add some greenery to the water feature itself that has some height. So we've got some plants in the water helping with the filtration, adding to the beauty of everything, but giving us a nice backdrop on the far side of the pond. So when you're looking across, you'll have that vertical element sticking up out of the water, softening that stonework and giving it a very natural feel. All right, guys, it is that moment where we are about to release the koi. It's the one final remaining piece that this pond was missing. And we have 5 beautiful Japanese koi that my mom and dad hand-picked from the mud ponds in Japan. And this is gonna be their new forever home. They've been floating in these bags, acclimating to the water temperature, and we're about to release them. So these guys went from mud ponds in Japan, flew on an airplane all the way to my house where they've been living in some big holding tanks, and now they're gonna call this place home. Check it out, buddy. These guys will swim around and investigate. It'll take them probably a few days to a week to really get adjusted to their new home. You have to think they were born and raised in mud ponds where the water is so cloudy and muddy that you can't see. They couldn't even see each other in the pond. To being transported and living into big holding tanks, and now they're going into a beautiful ecosystem pond. So they're gonna be exploring, checking everything out, nibbling on the algae on the rocks, and eventually, oh, look at this one, scaleless, a doitsu, absolutely beautiful. Look at those colors. So these guys eventually will probably eat out of the hands of the staff here. In case you guys forgot, this pond lives inside of an atrium at the Butterfly Place in Westford, Massachusetts. And how fitting that there's a butterfly hanging out right here, watching us release the koi. Standing here, guys, it's so easy to forget now that we're looking at this beautiful water feature, what was here before. And if you remember at the start of this video, there was a non-functioning, leaking bare liner pond right in the middle. It was overgrown with all kinds of plants, roots poking through the liner. One of the biggest challenges we had once we removed that old pond is we realized there's only maybe 4 to 6 inches of soil inside of this atrium, and everything else all the way down for as far as we could dig is like beach sand or play sand, which is really easy to dig in, but it's extremely hard to build shelves and sculpt a pond without having it continuously collapse in on itself. So that was a big challenge for us. We were able to overcome that by compacting as we went along and watering the ground. We kept it moist, so like when you're building a sandcastle, you've got the perfect amount of water in your pail with the sand, it holds its form. So we had to do that to the sand while digging in it to be able to build this beautiful pond. And now that it's all rocked in, that won't be a problem. But looking back, I can remember all those challenges. Another thing we had to overcome was everything in here was basically the same grade. There was no elevation change, but we knew we wanted to have some dramatic waterfalls that looked natural, but gave some height to the landscaping in here and also gave some views to different areas of the atrium where you'd be able to see waterfalls even if you weren't directly up next to the feature itself. So all of the soil we excavated from this hole, we piled up over here, and then we kind of carved it and blended it in to make it what we wanted. About half of the soil that we did end up piling here, we ended up digging out again and bringing outside one wheelbarrow at a time. And this is what we're left with. I think it's the perfect level. It gets us some big, beautiful drops some awesome elevation change and adds a lot of character to the space out here. And once all this landscaping gets filled and these plants really take off, I think having some green height back up in here, it's just gonna make this look even more like a jungle. One last thing, guys, when you come visit this, you may appreciate it in person, but a lot of these rocks are pretty big. And if you think about it, there's only a couple of doorways to get into this building, and they barely allowed our wheelbarrow to fit past. So every large stone that you see in here, what's up, birdies? Look at my friends. They're appreciating the big rocks too. Every single large stone that you see in this feature, we had to carry in by hand and set by hand, which is quite a feat. We didn't want to use really tiny rocks and make it easier on ourselves. We wanted it to look grand and natural and like it's always been here. And the only way we could really accomplish that was with these bigger rocks. And I think it was worth all that extra work. That was a lot of hard work, guys, but I'm super proud of this one and I'm very excited to unveil it to the public all season long. Come look at this, but I'm out of here, guys. I got more stuff to work on. Before I go, I'm gonna scan the QR code and then I'm on to the next project.